Hey folks, this is Mason Weaver. Stay right or be left. Today is Good Friday, 2018. Get ready for a great weekend. I thought, we've had a tremendous battle in November 2016, and we're trying to get ready for 2018 midterms, and we're arguing with a barrage of attacks from the left, the demonstrations, the blocking of freeways, the protests, the revelations of how deep they were in our pockets. And sometimes we get a little overwhelmed. And I want you to realize that even the hardened battle troops get R&R occasionally. Sometimes those of us in the thick of the battle, sometimes it's just time to stop and take a break, relax a little bit, stop fighting the battles all day. It's not good for you. I'm suggesting that we take this holiday, take a spring break. The kids get a spring break and they haven't done anything all year. The kids get a spring break and they haven't accomplished anything all year. The kids get a spring break from college and high school, and they need to stay out of college and high school. So why can't we, the Warriors, take a little break from the battle and sit back and relax? Today, I got up and my granddaughter and I went out and split wood. I know it's springtime, but something to do. We went out there and split wood. We dug a ditch for the drain of the pond early in the morning, and I'm going to sit back and have a cup of tea. And maybe continue to write my book. I got 2 books I'm writing now. Take a little time off. I want to stay on Facebook. I'm going to stay on the internet. But we need to take a break because we got a really, 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 really big battle in the midterms. We have a chance to put these clowns away and put the monster to sleep, but they're going to fight back. Don't forget now, liberals will never, ever give up. And I hope you will never, ever give up. This is Easter Sunday. I don't know what Easter means. But we're celebrating the resurrection of our Christ. We're celebrating the death of Christ. We're celebrating the fact that God Almighty, the creator of the universe, loved man enough that he became man to redeem man. That's a pretty good celebration. Maybe it's time for some reflection. Maybe it's time for us to recognize who's really in charge. Maybe it's time for us to sit back and think that the battle is political. I know some of you guys think that Christians shouldn't get involved in politics, and I think that's because you talk too much to liberals, you watch too much liberal TV, you watch too much liberal news, read too many liberal newspapers, and you have a little prick in your side saying that Christians should not be involved in politics. And I will tell you something. Christians need to be deeply involved in politics. Every problem facing Christians in the Bible came from government. Every problem facing you today comes from government. It is the natural enemy of Christians. Government is the natural enemy. Christianity is a threat to government because government is ordained and ruled by men, and men are greedy and selfish and evil. And so Christianity is a moral standard that is not of the government. So the government is constantly trying to rotate, regulate, control, tax. And Christians are the only people who sit around and think of what they can and cannot say publicly. Pastors are the only people that sit around and say what they can and cannot say about government in the workplace. There is no place you can separate God from. If you want to understand the separation of church and state, it's called the rapture. It's when God separates the church and state. It's when God separates people from the state so that God can judge the state. You are not man enough to separate God from nothing. So stop pretending that you're not supposed to get involved in politics. You should have an opinion on everything because Christ died for everything, every one of us. Therefore, as a Christian, we're going to fight this battle as a Christian. We're going to fight it with faith. We're going to fight it with moral standards. And we're going to win based on our action because faith is a verb. This holiday, as we celebrate the Easter egg, whatever that is, as we celebrate the Easter bonnet, whatever that is, we're also going to celebrate that the tomb is empty and the cross is bare. He has been risen and nothing belongs to Caesar any longer. So when they tell you that give unto Caesar what's Caesar's and to give unto God what's God's, understand Caesar, the only thing Caesar has now is the grave. Christians, let's recharge our batteries. Let's recharge our batteries. Faith is a verb. Goliath will not fall into the dust until somebody walks out there at him. The walls of Jericho will not fall down until somebody walks around it. The Jordan River will not split until someone's feet touch it. So if you are big enough and bad enough to see the problems and afraid to walk toward that problem, you don't have enough faith. Recognize it and step out the way, because somebody behind you got the faith and you're in the way. We can only win this battle the same way we won the election, by faith. It is a verb. It's not a noun. It's not what you're thinking of doing, and not what you're calling it. It's what you're doing. It's an action word. So as we rest up this holiday season, rest up, just celebrating the resurrection of our Christ, let's also rest up our prayer time and get back on our knees and convert ourselves back to what we know is going to win this battle. We have a hard battle, folks. The enemy is right where we want him, right in front of us. No more excuses. No more whining. No more debating with the loot left. No more trying to understand them and try to explain to them. They don't want the truth. They worship the father of lies, and they will never, ever come around to you by you arguing with them. They may come around, but not because of how smart you are and the words you give them. The truth you lay in front of them is like casting pearls before swine. Our job is to bring those who want to come to us. Our job is not to convince them. Our job is to tell them. Just tell them and move on to somebody else. But we think that our job is to sit there and argue with them, find out how we're going to do this. This is Mason Weaver. Stay right or be left, because eternity is a long time to be wrong.